Well, it finally happened. There's been a lot of rumours going around about exactly what Xbox was planning to do in terms of layoffs, and we now have an actual blog post from Asha Sharma herself, and it's not great, but we'll get into some of the okay points about it.
Not the leader of a cult, RabbitWithAxe.
So, on July 6th, 2026, we had a brand new Xbox Wire article resetting Xbox. This was an internal message to the Xbox team, and it was actually published by Asha Sharma, the CEO herself, and it essentially went over everything that is happening, starting from the 6th, which does include 3,200 approximately, and this goes for all the numbers. We don't get exact numbers, we only get approximations. 3,200 employees over the next financial year are going to be laid off. And we don't get a more precise timeline than that. It's just financial year 27, which is the current financial year. 3,200 jobs gone, and 1,600 of those are being eliminated right now. Those roles are gone starting July 6th. So that is already half of all of the jobs that are being lost are already gone. And while I am going to say some somewhat semi-positive things about the overall picture here, I just want to say, just like when Epic let go of 1,000 employees, Xbox letting go of, well, over 1,500, 1,600 employees in one day, it's obviously terrible. These are talented people that have been developing games and platforms and everything else for Xbox and Microsoft Gaming and stuff like that for presumably a long time. While, unlike with the Epic layoffs, we don't really know as well who specifically is gone. It's still a terrible time for the industry, and I really feel sorry for everyone that has lost their job. And the fact that there is another 1,600 to go over the next year or the next couple of months, is really, really scary, and I do really feel for everyone that's actually impacted by this. When it comes to what exactly is happening in terms of the reset, so to speak, of Xbox, the actual restructuring, we are losing 4 of the studios, definitively. 4 of the studios are leaving. However, and this is where the thankfulness actually starts to come into play, no studio that is being affected by this is closing. So whilst some of the studios that aren't being touched at all in terms of, remanagement, while those may be losing employees, all the studios, the 4 studios, technically 5, that are actually leaving Xbox or are in talks to leave Xbox aren't being closed down. They are being given opportunities and time, and in some cases financial aid in order to spin off or find new ownership or whatever else. So when it comes to Compulsion, who make games like We Happy Few, and Double Fine, who you will probably know from Psychonauts, they will be going back to independent studios. They will not be getting new management, or rather, they'll be returning to managing themselves. And as far as we can tell, that's not going to really have much to do with Xbox in the future. I'm sure, obviously, their games in the future will still come to Xbox, but as it currently stands, they are having their ties fully cut from Xbox and Microsoft, which that's a lot better than them being closed down under Xbox. So, yeah, Compulsion and Double Fine are now independent again. That is honestly some of the best news out of this entire situation, though it could still lead to issues down the line. If they don't have the funding, if they don't have the ability to actually continue as studios, that could see the end of them. But at this point, it's not really on Xbox. It's up to them to get funding sources to actually produce games that do well, and hopefully they do. Compulsion and Double Fine have both made great games over the years, and yeah, I hope to see more stuff from them in the future. The other 2 studios that have definitive outcomes are Ninja Theory, who obviously have been making Senua games for however long, and Undead Labs, who have only ever made State of Decay games. And both of those are moving to new ownership, which I think is perfectly fine. The Senua game that has already been announced as well, State of Decay 3, are going to be getting continued funding and publishing from Microsoft and Xbox, so their ties aren't fully cut, but essentially Xbox is ensuring that they actually get to make their games, which especially when the newest Senua game, has actually been fully revealed and announced, and has trailers and stuff like that. Literally only a few weeks ago was the newest trailer for it. It's good that Microsoft and Xbox are still doing something for them, even if, technically they're no longer owned or, under management of Xbox. It is still a nice thing that they are actually trying to help them, and it at least means that the Senua game and State of Decay 3 are going to be actually releasing, which is better than, we could expect otherwise, and honestly, it's the minimum that Microsoft should be doing, is ensuring that these studios are able to actually produce the games that have already been announced. And just adding to that, every game that is currently announced for Xbox, as in from an Xbox studio, nothing has been affected, nothing's been cancelled. There is a little bit around one of the studios that I haven't mentioned yet that we're not sure on, but as of right now, according to this blog post, this, employee message, whatever you want to call it, nothing has been cancelled, nothing has been postponed or anything like that. Everything is still in production, but there is an asterisk attached to one game in particular, and that is because Arcane, who obviously have made Dishonored and Prey, may be leaving too. They're currently in talks about essentially re-establishing what they actually need in terms of a strategy for the future, and as part of that, the Marvel's Blade game that they've actually been working on is kind of up in the air. We don't really know the future of Blade, and that is the one game that I feel like if anything is going to be cancelled that's been announced currently, it will be that, which is a real shame, especially with the fact that the Blade film is in such crisis in terms of production. The fact that the Blade game could also fall that same way is really unfortunate. For someone that really likes Marvel Knights, not necessarily Blade himself, but Marvel Knights in general, I really was looking forward to playing a game as Blade. I thought that was going to be a really cool idea. Unfortunately, it's looking less and less likely, and especially with the fact that Arcane is having to have these discussions about potential strategic options, as they put it, it's not looking too ideal. I will also just point out that when it comes to Activision, Bethesda, ZeniMax, Blizzard, King, Mojang, and Xbox Game Studios, which obviously includes the Halo Studios, the Gears Studios, all that sort of stuff, they are, at least currently, not being touched. There is going to be some layoffs within them, but for the most part, like, everything that they are doing in terms of projects and actual games that have been announced, stuff like that, are not being affected by any of this. So, at least for all of those studios, all of those, teams, everything is kind of staying as is. With a slight exception, Mojang and King, who have previously been pretty, separated from the rest, are actually going to be directly reporting to Asher for the future, which can only help to kind of strengthen all the ties and the connections and the actual communications and any issues that are, being brought up towards, like, game production. It can only help. With Mojang and King, obviously, Minecraft and, well, what do King make, really? Candy Crush? But yeah, with Mojang and King, like, Asher says herself that they are the biggest, like, moneymakers for Xbox, so it only makes sense that they want to bring Mojang and King closer to the, like, inner circle sort of thing, and it can only mean good things for the future. It just means that they're going to get more attention, and hopefully more good can come of that, whether that be more games, more support, more financial aid in terms of helping development, whatever it is, it can only be a good thing. There is a shocking lack of mention of studios like Rare, and as I say, they don't outright say anything about Halo Studios, or the Gears one that I can't remember the name of. But yeah, as far as we know, everything else that isn't explicitly mentioned is safe and fine, and realistically, it's just that they're going to be getting, a loss of actual developers and other employees, which is, as I say, really unfortunate, and it really just paints a picture of how poorly Xbox is doing right now. They have had to cut prices on Game Pass, which, for me, was the reason I actually stopped my Game Pass subscription, because they dropped Call of Duty, which was pretty much the only reason I had left to be a subscriber. And yeah, for the most part, because they've had price raises on both the consoles and subscriptions, it has meant that they've actually lost a lot of revenue. They're not making basically anything. And yeah, Asher does lay it out far better than I am in this video, so I do recommend if you are really interested, I will have the entire article linked in the description below. But yeah, this is a very rough time to be a fan of Xbox, and generally a fan of gaming. You know, we've had layoffs earlier this year from both Epic Games, obviously, as well as Sony, with the fact that, you know, Bungie's in the state that it is now, and the fact that we're now getting all these layoffs from Xbox as well. It's a very bad time for the industry, and I think really that is the key point that we have to take home from this, is that right now, everything is kind of going poorly. All the prices are going up because of the RAM shortage, because of the AI boom and the AI bubble and all that, and data centers as well. And all whilst that is going on, all these studios, all these companies that, you know, produce video games and produce consoles and produce this, that, the other, are really struggling to actually deliver on product. And when it comes to Xbox, for the most part, I'd say they've been doing a decent job of things. They've been trying their best to stay relevant and stay competitive and everything else, compared to, say, PlayStation cutting physical games and Nintendo kind of being a bit wishy-washy on exactly what they want the future of the Nintendo Switch to be. Xbox has tried its best and is just really struggling, and it is really sad to see, because I did very much start my, you know, serious gaming on Xbox with the Xbox 360, and it is really sad to see Xbox might actually go the way of Sega in the future, but as is, it's kind of difficult to say, and hopefully this is the turning point where they'll actually be able to start making profit again, and potentially actually, you know, start selling consoles and start, you know, making a worthwhile Game Pass subscription again. But only time will tell with that, and with the fact that we have Project Helix on the horizon, we'll have to just wait and see, unfortunately. At least we're not getting another announcement of the death of physical media, so I see that as a plus. But yeah, this is a really painful moment for gaming in general, and yeah, hopefully we don't see much more of this in the future. But saying that, it's probably going to be happening in the next month, so I don't know really what else to say about that. But on that kind of somber note, that is going to be it for this video. So, as I say, links in the description to the article if you are interested in reading yourself. And otherwise, it's going to be it for this video. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like it, subscribe and enter, and ring a bell to never miss upload. Otherwise, complete your thoughts and feelings on the layoffs, as well as the changes to the studio management, and also just general thoughts on the industry as a whole. What, you know, are you thinking about gaming right now? There's a lot going on, and it is kind of sad in a lot of ways, kind of frustrating in a lot of ways as well, but I think that, you know, greener pastures are on the horizon. It's just a matter of time. But with that being said, that's going to be it from me, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!
Look at the screen, you'll be fine. Culture's a disease, but we'll survive. I just wanna take